It's Wednesday, November 9th, post-election day. I'm Sarah Fergani with your election results in some of the biggest local races. First up, the Texas governor's race. Voters chose to re-elect Governor Greg Abbott for his third time in office. He defeated former U.S. Rep. Beto O'Rourke. Abbott spoke to supporters in McAllen last night, but did not mention Beto O'Rourke by name.
Just know this, we will go to work every single day to earn that trust. And together we will keep Texas the greatest state and the greatest country in the history of the world.
Abbott is hosting a post-election roundtable in McAllen today. Texas has not had a Democrat in the governor's spot in 30 years. O'Rourke watched the results from his hometown in El Paso. Here's what he said after learning the results.
Against all that, at a time when we could be tempted to give in or to give up, we all decided instead to give it our all.
Now, this is Beto's third major political loss. He ran for Senate president and now governor. We also looked at how Uvalde voters cast their ballots in the governor's race. The results showed 60% of voters in the county supported Greg Abbott. 38% voted for Beto O'Rourke. The Democrat had pushed for gun reform in the wake of the tragedy at Robb Elementary. And families continue to call for accountability for all that went wrong inside the school. Abbott has promised those responsible at all levels will be held accountable. Meanwhile, State Senator Roland Gutierrez will continue to represent Uvalde. The Democrat maintains his seat in District 19, overcoming a challenge from Robert Garza. But in Uvalde County, specifically, more voters supported Garza. And Republican Congressman Tony Gonzalez, who also represents Uvalde, was reelected in U.S. House District 23. He beat out John Lira and Frank Lopez Jr. All eyes were also on the race for Bexar County judge and the person to replace longtime Judge Nelson Wolff, who served for 20 years before retiring. Democrat Peter Sakai takes the victory over Republican Trish DeBerry, 57% to DeBerry's 39%. Sakai spoke last night after his victory.
One thing I'm committed to do is to make sure we listen to all our citizens and make sure that we try to solve their problems and their issues that they are confronted with on a daily basis.
Sakai pointed out 2 Asian Americans will now be leading our community, with Mayor Ron Nirenberg and himself as county judge. The current district attorney will be keeping his seat. Bexar County DA Joe Gonzalez won his re-election campaign. He beat Republican Mark LaHood 56% to 44%. And across the state, the race for Texas Lieutenant Governor got a lot of attention. Incumbent Dan Patrick was elected to another term, pulling more than 54% of the vote. His next closest opponent, Mike Collier, got 43%. Another incumbent who easily retained his seat, Democrat Joaquin Castro, who won U.S. House District 20, capturing 68% of the vote. His challenger, Kyle Sinclair, got 32%. In other major news, San Antonio Mayor Ron Nirenberg now calling for City Councilman Clayton Perry to resign if recent allegations against him are true. They surround whether or not the District 10 councilman was involved in a hit and run over the weekend. Police say a Jeep Wrangler took a wide turn and slammed head-on into a car stopped at a red light. The Jeep drove away, but police found the car still running in Perry's driveway. An officer found a man in the yard with blood coming from his head. Investigators say that man was slow to answer questions, confused and unsteady on his feet. It is now being treated as a failure to stop and give information. So far, no response from Perry. WNBA star Brittany Griner has been moved to a penal colony in Russia. U.S. officials calling this a labor camp with manual labor, poor hygiene, and a lack of access to medical care. Russia says Griner will stay there to serve out the remainder of her 9-year drug smuggling sentence. In a statement last week, the White House doubled down that Russia is not negotiating in good faith for her return. And Facebook has officially made massive cuts, 11,000 jobs, about 13% of its workforce. According to the Wall Street Journal, Mark Zuckerberg said he overhired based on expected company growth. Meta has seen more competition lately from rivals like TikTok that are hurting the company's bottom line. And checking in with meteorologist Paul Morales.
All right, Sarah, we're going to see a lot of cloud cover this morning. Later this afternoon, kind of a mix of clouds and sun, high at 83. Just a slight chance for a shower. And this evening, partly cloudy skies, temperatures in the 70s.
A nice day. Thank you, Paul. That's KENS 5 News now. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Sarah Fergani. I'll see you tomorrow.